It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy. And as you can tell, it's still the Christmas decorations, but this is as of the taping. As far as the show goes, it'll probably be after Christmas, the Thursday after Christmas. And then we got New Year's coming up, and then Valentine's coming up. And then Mardi Gras coming up. A lot of things coming up in the spring. So we'll be busy all winter long. But as of the taping now, we're finally warming up outdoors. It's getting nice out. We're getting over 32, so we're getting like 37 today, I think, or 38. I'm like, oh, heat wave. Because it was so darn cold in November. Oh my Lord, it was just freezing up here. Oh my God, was it cold. Just too cold for this time of year. And it was way below normal than usual. But now we're gonna be above normal, which is fine with me, I don't care. As long as we got a little snow at Christmas time, I'm okay. And we finally got our snow-covered ground. It took forever before we got that. Anyway, so in today's episode, we're going to take and do some fun and fancy desserts. And today we're going to start off by making pate chaud. What's that? Pate chaud. It is cream puffs. It's a French dessert. And I'm sure you've all had the cream puffs before. Maybe mom made them when you were kids or something. I know mine did. And then they puff up, and then you cut off the top, dig out the center, and then she'd fill them with whipped cream. Well, we're not going to dig them out. We're going to take and just pipe them into the center so you don't have to do that extra step. So it's really quick and easy, and you can still be real fancy about it. So what we need to do first is have a cup of water. And we're going to bring this to a boil, along with 1 stick of butter. Now make sure you use butter and not margarine. Margarine gives a different consistency to a lot of your cookies. And you want the flavor of the butter. And at holiday time, you can buy it much cheaper. You can get really good prices on it. What did I get? Was that Aldi's? Up north, I got to visit Miss Daisy, Crazy Daisy's. Crazy new dog that replaced Callie after she passed. No one will replace Callie, of course not. But Crazy Daisy is a chocolate lab. And she was just a sweetheart. Oh, she just loved Uncle Roy. And she was like all kisses all over me and napping on my laps. And oh, she's just a sweet. And helping me in the kitchens there. Yeah, just like Callie did. Because then I taught her what the word samples and quums meant. That's what quums on the floor. We were mixing it up. Oh, quum. Callie used to get the quums all the time. So now Daisy's after the quums. It was so cute. Oh, I hated leaving her. But anyway, we're up there making Christmas cookies. Oh my God, I made 3 dozen, I think, Russian tea cakes and chocolate chip M&M cookies and a batch of peanut brittle and a batch of peanut butter fudge. And we made just tons of stuff. And I spritz cookies and I spent the whole day baking away. It was fun though. It was nice getting out of it. That was my Christmas. It was so nice. Okay, we're gonna bring this, we're boiling that away. And then we also need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there. Back to the show here. Carried away. Need a 1/4 teaspoon of the kosher salt. You know how that makes everything light and fluffy. Especially when you want to do a cream puff, you want a light and fluffy one. Now for this, make sure you have a wooden spoon. So bring this to boil now. We're just waiting for this whole stick of butter to melt. It's almost there. And we're going to be needing 4 eggs. Get the older ones first. Well, Aldi's had a great deal on eggs too. A whole dozen, 58 cents. Oh my God, I bought 2. I got like 4 dozen eggs in my fridge now. So I can make recipes with lots of eggs. Okay, don't want to burn that. Careful. It's to a boil, and I can feel the butter's all melted. And then we can turn that off. We're done with that. Now to this, I'm gonna switch gears here and move the camera because I want to show you how I mix this. We're going to be adding 1 cup of flour, and then we're going to be adding 4 eggs, 1 at a time. So let me get this situated and we'll be right back. Okay, so this is all melted now. And we're going to be adding our 1 cup of flour. And then we're going to mix this up now until this forms a ball. And you can see how quickly that's going to solidify together here, congeal together. And there's our ball. Now, we need to take and add our eggs 1 at a time and mix them up thoroughly after each addition. You only can do just 1 at a time because of the consistency. Put them all in at once, they're not gonna blend in. And this gets to be really slimy. And you think like, oh, it's separated, it's not gonna get in. You just keep stirring like this, and eventually it will incorporate it. And as you can tell, it is right now changing, and there it goes. You can see you got the thickness again. We got to keep doing this now with all 4 eggs. So this is what takes a little while to get this done. It takes time, but eventually you'll get it. You'll be done with it, and it'll be over with. Doesn't take a whole lot of time, but this takes a lot of mixing. And this is not on a hot stove at all. I just have it sitting here off the burner. Because this is already heated, it's already melted, so we don't need to heat this part up anymore because that liquid's already hot. So I just keep doing this until we go through all 4 of the eggs, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now we'll just take our parchment lined baking sheet, and I'll just use my little cookie scooper, and we'll just plop these onto a parchment paper. And you want these about 2 inches away from each other, so they are going to puff up. And just stagger your rows like we do when we're making cookies, so they're not touching each other. And we can get more rows in than if we go in between. And these can be closer. And then we'll just continue doing this until we get our sheet full. And now the oven is preheated at 400 degrees. And these are going to be baked for approximately 30 to 35 minutes, or until they're light golden brown. And then we'll take them out of the oven. And then we're going to take a skewer and poke a hole in each end. And that allows the steam to escape so that as they cool, we're not going to have a soggy center. They'll be nice and crisp still. And we want to have a crisp cream puff. We don't want to have a real soggy one, because the cream filling on the inside is going to make it softer anyway. So if we can keep the shell nice and crisp, then we've accomplished our duty, our mission. So these are, I'm just making tiny ones here. Now you can take and use a large ice cream scoop if you want to make larger ones. That's perfectly fine. You can do that too. But I'm just going to do small ones here. And now let's put these in the 400-degree oven for about 30-35 minutes until light golden brown. And then we'll be right back. Okay, so now I took and I have the cream puffs of baking. And that was 1 pan full. And I still have quite a bit of dough left over. So I'm gonna, oh, this isn't big enough for that. Use the old-fashioned way and put this around my hand. going to take and make eclairs. Now, eclairs are the exact same thing as a cream puff, except they're shaped differently. They're in a oblong shape. And this is just a little too small for me to put around my hand, too. So I'm just going to stick it right in this way. So I'm just going to take and scrape out the remaining dough, and we'll put this right into our pastry bag. Now we're going to take and pipe these out into about 3-inch lengths. You can make them as small or as big as you want, depending upon, your preference for an eclair, how big a one you want. Because remember, these do puff up. Ooh. I put my finger on the bottom of the hole. Then we can just take and pipe these out into long, skinny rectangles. Now when you pipe this out, you end up with a little lip of dough at the very end where you pick up. And we want to take and smooth that out so we have a nice smooth eclair. And what you're going to do then is just take your finger and dip it in water and just rub the tip of that dough down, and that'll get rid of the tip. So you can see here how I got them into the lines like that, into oblongs. Then we can just take and wet our finger, and we can just put this tip back into place where we want it. This dough seems to be a little bit on the thinner side for some reason. Usually it's a thicker dough. But instructions I follow. And then we'll put these in the oven, same as the cream puffs, 400-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so while those are baking, we can make the filling. And for this, we're using a container of whipping cream. And to that, we're going to be adding a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then we'll just whip this up. And then we also need a teaspoon of, I'm putting in almond extract. You can do vanilla or any flavor you want to. I just have a tendency to like almond in my baking sometimes, preferably over vanilla, just to give it a more flavorful taste sensation. And then while that's getting stiffer, I'm adding my 1/4 cup of white sugar, or you could use powdered sugar if you want to. So I'm just going to put this in a little at a time, so it just helps to get so it dissolves. Putting it all at once, it just has a tendency to get clumpy and thick, and doesn't just, you don't get the granules, that crunch, crunch, dissolved well. So you want them to blend in with the cream. And we just beat this until it's stiff. And check this out. That's good. Now we can just put this in the refrigerator to keep chilled until we need it, until the cream puffs are all nice and cool. Ooh, lots of things in the fridge. Alrighty, so we got that done. Now we'll make the other part of the filling, because we're not doing just whipping cream. We're going to be blending in the whipping cream with our instant pudding. Now you could make a cream pâtissière, which is a French vanilla cream, which is the filling, the thick filling cream. That takes a long time, because after you mix it, it's boiled and then tempered on the stove. The egg yolks and the hot milk mixture, temper it, and then you mix it in together with the hot milk. It takes a long time. And then you got to cover it with saran wrap so that you don't get a skin forming on top of the bowl. You put that in the refrigerator, and then that has to refrigerate for at least 2 to 6 hours, best overnight. So it takes a long time. So we can just do a shortcut version, and we'll just take and do an instant pudding and whipping cream mixed together. So we have one small box of instant pudding, whatever flavor you want to use. I'm doing a white chocolate for today. And along with this, we're going to be using 1 1/2 cups of cold milk. Now, when using milk in instant puddings, you want to use whole milk. You can use 2% if you want to. It just takes longer to set because whole milk has more fat in it, and that's why they use regular milk, whole milk, in cooking because of the fat content. When you use 2% or 1% or skim, it takes longer to set and congeal because it's too watery, it's too thin. So you want to have whole milk that has all the fat. So, you know, you're making a fancy French dessert. What do you expect? It's not for the calorie counters. So we have that in there. And then along with our milk and pudding, we need 3/4 teaspoon of the almond flavoring. So we got the almond flavoring in the puff, and then almond flavoring in the filling, and almond flavoring in the whipped cream. So we get that almond flavor all wrapped around. So that's going to be incorporated to everything, so it's going to be really nice. 1/2 and 1/4. So that all the flavors blend together. We're not going to have, you know, competing flavors against each other. They're all going to complement each other because it's all almond. It's all going to blend in together and harmonize. So now we'll just take and mix this up. And when this is nice and thick, then we'll just put this in the refrigerator. Now, when this is nice and thick, then we'll take and add 2 cups of the whipped cream, already whipped, to this pudding mixture, and then fold these together, and then that will be our cream filling for the cream puffs and eclairs. Now, I might just do a little titch for the eclairs. I could add another flavor to this. I have the almond in there. Cherry almond is really, really good, so I might, you know, put a little cherry juice in there when it's all thickened. Or I could even still do chocolate. I could put some cocoa powder in there and mix that together so we can have a chocolate almond. That goes together, those 2 flavors. We'll see. We'll just wait and see what we're doing. We'll just mix this together, beat this together until it's thick, and then refrigerate, and then we'll add the 2 cups of whipped cream to this, and that's almost thick. And then we'll be right back as soon as we use it all done. All right, these are all done now. These are our nice little cream puffs. These little tiny little cute little things are. Now these are still hot yet, so you gotta be careful not to burn yourself. I'm using a little pot holder. I want to get out my wooden skewer, and then I'm just gonna poke this hole on the end of each end, on the edge of each end. Now this is going to allow steam to escape so that these cream puffs aren't a soggy consistency as they cool. Because sometimes then if you don't do that, they might take and collapse on you because of the moisture content inside. Then they also aid as a guide when we go to fill, because we're going to squeeze the filling in there, and then if you see it coming out the hole, you know it's full. Because it's easy to take and overfill them, and then you crack them and they break all over. So when you fill them, you want to be careful with that. So the little holes, when you start seeing the cream oozing out the other end, You know it's full. Stop. So I'm just going to go around, make sure these are all have holes in. And we'll just wait for these to cool completely before we start filling. And you do the same thing with the Eclairs. You just poke a hole on the ends of each end of the Eclair. Okay, now these are cool enough, and I mixed the whipping cream and the pudding together. And now I got this in my little bag here. And then we'll just poke this in one side, squeeze in until we can fill this up with the cream. Alrighty, now I got these cream puffs and the Eclairs all stuffed with the cream filling. Next, I have 2 ounces of chopped up dark chocolate in here, and I need 2 teaspoons of butter. And 1, 3, 1, 2. Go. And along with this, we have a 1/4 cup of heavy cream heated up. Just bring it to a boil and then take it off the stove real quick. So that this is hot. And we want to melt the chocolate. That was like a ganache, basically. And this melts up really quickly if you have it chopped up little tiny pieces. It's almost done now. But just keep stirring because the heat will take and melt up the chocolate from the other pieces. So it's all melted. And I still see a couple of pieces in there that aren't quite melted. And if you remember how I said how to melt chocolate in the microwave, we can just put this in. This is a low wattage one anyway. But do it for like about 15 seconds on your regular microwaves. And then just take and stir this up. You don't want to over microwave because that's how you scorch and burn your chocolate, which a lot of people do. They over cook it because it doesn't look like it's melted. The chocolate still holds its form in chocolate chip form. And the microwave is heated on the inside of the chocolate. So the chocolate chip will stay the same shape until you start to mix it, and then it breaks apart and it's all melted. But when you just pull it out and look at it, it doesn't look like it's melted. So they stick it back in and heat it up again, and then they burn it. So to stir it up, and the heat from inside the chocolate will melt the other chocolate. And just keep doing that 15-second intervals until you get a smooth paste. So mine heated up real quick, melted down real quick. Then we're just going to do a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. When I saw Miss Daisy the other day, I dropped a twisty and she snatched that up right away. No. Chew it and everything else. Not the wire. No. You gotta keep an eye on them. Oh, we're the kids. We're just like kids. That was fun visiting with her. Oh God, I loved her. All right, now this is not a thick frosting. This is almost like a glaze, which is what we want. You want this to run smooth, and when it dries, it's shiny. So you can either dip in or paint on, or however you want to do this. I kind of like dipping. I should have used a shallower bowl. I can just put this in another bowl. But I wanted a deeper bowl for mixing. Make sure it's clean and dry so you don't congeal the chocolate. And then we can just take, now if you want to, you can just drizzle your chocolate over it if you want stripes, or you can just dip the whole thing in. Just shake off the excess and just leave it like that. Now, when I made these, I was following my instructions perfectly, but I think my oven has like a surge effect because it's electric, which you know I hate electric ovens. You can't control the heat. You really can't. So I think it might have surged a little bit because he's got a little brown. So I would take them, when you bake them, just watch it go from 25 to 30 minutes instead of 30 to 35. You can always bake longer, but once you pass that point, if you were to burn them or over brown them, you can't go back, is what I'm saying. So I would take them, just go 25 minutes first. You want a light golden brown. These are dark golden browns. They're not burnt, not at all. But they're nice and brown, golden brown on the bottoms because of the parchment paper. But I still would take and just, go 25 minutes for a lighter golden brown. All depends, on preference, personal preference, and your equipment. I'm so used to working with my oven from the last house I lived at. When I was living with Craig over there with Callie. I mean, I knew that oven, that stove, inside and out, temperature-wise, everything. I knew it exactly how to cook everything. This one I'm still getting used to because it's electric, and I said, I'm not used to electric. You don't have real control of the heat. When it's done, it's done. You got to take it off the heat or take it out of the oven immediately. Because the coils retain the heat, even on the stove, they retain the heat. And you can still, burn your food. My grandma, she burnt everything. She liked it. Say, grandmas make the best food. No, not my grandma. She was not a good. She had like maybe 5 or 6 things she could cook really good. Well, that was it. Everything else was burnt. So now we just finish off doing these. Now, if you want to go one step further and even make this more elegant, you can take and go back over with a frosting tip and make little flowerets on the top and center of each little puff. And that would give it even a more distinct, elegant look to it. But you can just see how this glaze is just so shiny. It's like a ganache. Basically, that's what ganache is just chocolate and whipped cream. But it gives it such a nice, shiny coating. And there we go. Chocolate all over. One of the days you wanted chocolate cookies and stuff. No chocolate. You don't give her any human treats, human food at all. It's all dog food and box treats. But these are our luscious cream puffs and eclairs. Woo, woo, woo. Woo. So I hope you enjoyed this French cuisine of the Pate show. So for Northwoods Cooking Show, I want to say, eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Bye-bye.